Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shashank Ranjan, and I welcome you all to the daily Hindu newspaper discussion. And this is the 18th Feb Chennai edition newspaper. The discussion is brought to you by National Defense Institute. NDI is a leading defense preparation institute of India that prepares you for all India Sainik School entrance examination, NDA, CDS, CAPF, Afcat till the SSB, where we believe in holding your hand till you get those stars on your shoulders and emblem on your hat. Ladies and gentlemen, the first news article that's important from the exam's perspective is Supreme Court lifts stay on Haryana quota for private jobs. Now we know, ladies and gentlemen, that sometimes ago Haryana had come up with a new quota system, a reservation in job where it said that any company that wants to hire, that wants to open its industry in Haryana or is already operating its industries in Haryana will have to take 75%, will have to fill 75% of its vacancies only from the state of Haryana for those job roles which has salary range below 30,000 rupees per month. So this is what was basically the uh, private job reservation quota that Haryana government had come up with. Now, as soon as Haryana government came up with this law, the industries came together and they said they went against the government to the Punjab Haryana High Court, and there they appealed against the government and said that this is actually kind of a putting a peril to a system known as India as a unit, affects the idea of India as an economic unit. Now look at this keyword. This is a wonderful keyword. If you use this in your CAPF paper for writing the answers, it will, will fetch you very good marks. So affects the idea of India as an economic unit. So it said that we consider India as one whole economic unit. How could there be a reservation for one particular state? Because there are few IT sectors in India. There are only five IT sectors, five or six places in India where we have good lot of IT sectors. For example, one is Gurugram in Haryana. Obviously, it has the influence of Delhi. Next is Noida in Uttar Pradesh. Again, it has influence of Delhi. Next is Pune. Then we have Bangalore, and then we have Hyderabad, right? And we have Chennai. Now, after these places, what are the other places in India? So this is where the problem comes. Therefore, what these states said, the association said that the state has come up with a law is actually detrimental for the and it's going to be detrimental for the growth of these companies, and a kind of will kill competition, right? So this is what was there. And then the High Court decides to put a stay on the order what the government had come up with, and it said that once we will analyze this issue completely full well, and then we will come up with uh, uh we will come up with a judgment on it. But till then, put a stay on the reservation order, the quota order that the government had passed. Fine. So Supreme Court on Thursday set aside this Punjab and Haryana High Court order, uh, and staying a controversial state law that provided 75% reservation to 3,000 to the private sector job paying less than 30,000 a month. Okay, and it said that the bench, it said that it did not give sufficient reason. So the court did not give sufficient reason, and it simply put the government's order on stay. So it said that court should have given a sufficient reason that why are you putting it on a stay. And most importantly, the next thing which the court mentioned, that it has to be taken care and will have to be you know we need there should be a manifest illegality. This is not the way uh, a statute ought to be dealt with. We are not on merit, but the way uh, in which High Court dealt with this was wrong. So this is what Justice Rao said. He said that, see, it should be manifest illegality that if there is a, see, if there is a if there's a statute that is passed, statute are basically rules and laws, if that are passed by the parliament or by the legislative assembly, now those become statutes, right? Now high court, the supreme court does not have a way where you can just simply stop any statute that's coming out of assemblies, right? It's legislative assembly that's making laws. That's what its basic role is. And you simply cannot put a halt to this law because somebody else has made a case on it, right? Until unless you have a lot of reason, if you can prove in just one go that, oh, it's unconstitutional, how could you even put a stay on any statute? So this is what the supreme court said. And it said that definitely it will have to look into the issue because there is no provision in the constitution for the reservations uh, uh, in the private job. So this is what is the whole case about. There is a presumption of legality in favor of the law, and it is orderly not stayed unless the legislation in prima facie unconstitutional or illegal. A reservation in private sector has no basis in the constitution. There was no empirical study done on data whatsoever to justify the law. There should be a manifest illegality. That is not, this is not the way the statute ought to be dealt with. We are not on merits, but the way in which the High Court dealt with this was wrong, basically. Okay. So this is about it. Now let's move to the next news article. Okay. So the next news article, which is important from exams perspective, is Governor seeks talk with Mamta. And we know that this was again a news in transition some days ago, where we saw that how Mamta Banerjee blocked the Twitter profile of Governor and stating the reason that he was becoming an impediment in the work that the government was doing. So we tend to see that these kind of coercion between the governor and the state government keeps taking place, especially in the area in those states where the central government and the state government are not from the same political party. Okay, we saw this case happening in Bengal. We saw this case happening in Tamil Nadu regarding the NEET issue. We saw how the bill was sent back. So these kind of coercions are seen. And basically, just go through this article, not a lot of things given here, but these kind of questions can be asked in your examination, that there is always a kind of conflict between the governor and the chief minister. So what are the ways in which it should be dealt, or something, some essay could come on this, that regarding the federal structure of India. So you can quote these examples, right? Recently these things happened. So this will tell the examiners, whoever will be checking your paper, the evaluators will get this idea that, okay, this student is updated with the current affairs. Now if you give an example from what is happening in the recent past, then they will get to know that, okay, he has a knowledge and he reads the newspaper, he's an aware citizen of this country. All right, so that's the main purpose. So this is where these examples will be helpful for you. Fine. The next news article that's coming is Singapore's PM's speech uncalled for, says India. Actually, the thing that happened, this was something funny that happened yesterday evening, and I watched this on television as well. What was happening there was the Singapore PM was actually defending one of its parliamentarian, and while defending the parliamentarian, he stood up and he thought to give a speech. And while delivering the speech, uh, he he mentioned the name of two countries, one Israel, another India. And he said that if Singapore does not take these kind of strict actions or these kind of steps, then Singapore will no more remain the Nehru type of India, nor he also took the name of the Israelis PM, first PM of Israel. So he took name of both the first PM of India and Israel. He said that the India during their time used to be very different, and you see what happened after that. All the leaders are corrupt. 50% of the parliament, Lok Sabha of India, is filled with the MPs having criminal charges of heinous crimes like murder and rape. So this is what was his speech in the parliament against India. And you know what? The thing is that they can say these against India or Israel is because you see what is there in South Asia is only India is one country which has perfect democracy working, where anybody can come on television and accuse the government. Media is completely free. You can speak anything here, so the news goes out very fast. People can say anything. Now, recently there was a issue of this hijab issue in Udupi. See how it took the whole world stage. But the things that's happening in Pakistan, the minorities being killed, and anyone who speaks about the Tehreek-e-Insaf or the political parties in Pakistan, the channels are banned. They cannot, the news cannot be spoken out publicly. Like minorities are being converted, being raped and murdered each and every day in those countries, but nobody talks about it. You look at China, the Uyghur Muslims are being persecuted the way, like, Uyghur Muslims are in minority now. How they are persecuted in China? How the Rohingyas are being persecuted in Myanmar? So these news do not comes out. Rather, the news from the democratic countries like India comes out, and then the whole uh, kind of India's name is malignant. So this is what they do. Similarly, if you look at the country of Israel, if you look all the areas surrounding it, be it Palestine or Syria or Jordan, so all these countries, none of them has a perfect democracy working. Whereas, look at Israel, it has a perfect democracy. Media is absolutely free. They say anything, whatever they want, they do. So again, so it is easy to name or blame any of these countries that are democratic. But then India did not welcome the speech. He said that this is not right. It will India called the ambassador of Singapore, and it said that this will impact the bilateral relationship between India and Singapore. So, your PM must take care while he speaks. India and Singapore already has a very good trade relation, and which crosses over $1 billion. So, this is not right how you do. And, Singapore is a very, very small country at the Malacca Strait opening, and uh, just south of Malaysia. Okay, so that's here in the news. Fine. The next news article, which is here important, is the start flight to Ukraine. Government tells airlines. So airlines are said that you start flying to Ukraine, and whoever wants to come out will come out from there. So basically, that's one small news here. Okay. Next good important news here is Tamil Nadu tells Supreme Court it does not want neutrino observatory. We know that there was a neutrino observatory that's going to come in the Theni district of Tamil Nadu. Now, Tamil Nadu says that we don't want that neutrino laboratory, giving the reason that it will cost, it will it will have great cost to the wildlife and biodiversity, and the local people are already opposing it, and ignoring the local opposition to the project, you cannot actually go on and establish it. We don't want that to happen. Like, why do you want to establish this neutrino laboratory here? And when this neutrino laboratory is also not going to provide many jobs, right? A few jobs could be given, but not many. What is this neutrino laboratory? Basically, ladies and gentlemen, is that neutrino is basically a very, very light, very, very light element, and almost negligible mass, very small. Okay, it is so small and so light that it can pass through the rocks, it can pass through the walls Just like how you in the movies you could see that okay, the ghost can travel through the walls, right? So neutrino is a ghost element. It can travel through walls, it can travel through big planets. Basically, neutrino is and it is believed that these neutrino has its origin from black hole, has its origin from a supernova, the dying stars. So if they have origin from there, then if we somehow try to detect some neutrinos and capture them and read them, understand them, we will get to know about more about the universe. So the basic idea of establishing a neutrino observatory is to capture these neutrinos, which are very light and tiny and can pass through any object. It will pass through any solid object. So light that even through a very small gap between the solid atomic structure of the solid, in which how the atoms in the solids are arranged, the inter atomic spaces, it can travel through that those spaces and come out of any object. So we are actually trying to capture them. The project is going all across the world. India has also taken this step. India thought to establish its only the first and its only neutrino laboratory at Tamil Nadu. But for establishing it, we require a very strong mountain. The rock of that particular mountain should be very different. It should, there's a kind of a specification given that what should be the density of the rock, and all those things were mentioned. And according to that, the mountain was found at Taini district. I said that okay, this is a old mountain, very strong and highly dense mountain. We'll use this for the neutrino laboratory. Capturing small one atom of neutrino takes a very big screen. Only a few neutrino will fly across, like there are not many neutrino. So maybe in 2 3 4 5 6 years 2 3 neutrinos could be captured. Very few neutrinos it could be captured, and then the observations or reading could be started on it. So that was basically the thing. But Tamil Nadu is basically saying not to establish it. The reason for that is kind of lot of radiations that it is going to create, and it will be harmful to the biodiversity in the Western Ghat. Fine. Let's now move to the next news articles, which is on page number 12. And the first news, which is important here, is Jaishankar leaves for Germany. France focus remains on Russia. So we know that there's a dialogue that's going to happen. The national the security dialogue, the Munich security dialogue that's going to happen, and as Akshay is flying back there, now whole issue is going to revolve around Ukraine. So we'll see that what happens there in Ukraine. The whole focus is going to remain on Russia. That's the basic thing. Next news, which is important here, is Supreme Court to take up tribunal vacancy issue soon. So we saw that yesterday this news came in, and then again this news has become into transition. The thing that happened was that there are many tribunals which were set in India. The cases are already pending. So what Supreme Court said, it told to the government that, hey, see, government, you had been, asking for making tribunals to deal with the cases, but when are you going to do appointments? The appointments has not been done yet. When are you going to do appointments? If you will not do appointment, the justice will be delayed. But this is not right. So yesterday, the Chief Justice of India, he rose this issue, he took this issue up with the government. Okay, and today what happened, that there were many advocates who started to file case against the government. So, what Justice N.V. Ramana, he said lawyers to be patient, and he made this statement that should I call the government today and send them to jail? Will they then appoint the people? Have some patience. I took this issue up yesterday, and we will take it up. This is what he advised to the advocates. He said that don't worry, I have taken this issue up. Government will be taking care of it. Why are you doing simply you are coming and with your cases and all? Okay. So this is what basically here in this news is. You can read the whole article, nothing very important, but just this thing which is, so this is basically news in transition. Fine. Next news which is important here is India again backs diplomacy at United Nations Security Council. So at United Nations Security Council, India basically again is urging that the this issue can be solved only through the diplomatic talks. It said the same thing, diplomatic talks, because India maintains a good relation with both US and Russia. India wants it to have a, to end these things up with good diplomacy. Fine. The important thing here in the news is that Russia basically Russia said that basically Russia, who holds the rotating presidency of United Nations Security Council. So before that, India was the president, but currently the president is Russia in the month of Feb. It had called around the anniversary of Minsk II agreement, which is signed in Feb 2015, with an aim to bring peace in the rebel-held region of Donbass in Ukraine. The agreement was signed by Russia, Ukraine, separatist leader, and the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe. Minsk II has not been fully implemented, and its predecessor, Minsk I, had broke down. Now you will come across this Minsk agreement again and again. What is this Minsk agreement? See, there was a kind of, once Russia took Crimea of Ukraine, at that time there was conflict that broke out in the region. And then to de-escalate the situation, the Organization of Security Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, it sat down along with Germany and France and took this matter between Russia and Ukraine, and there was a agreement that was signed between Russia and Ukraine. So remember that Minsk agreement is an agreement between Russia and Ukraine, and Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, along with France and Germany, were actually a mediator. Okay, and in their presence, this agreement was signed. Minsk one was signed, which broke down because it was not properly implemented. The both side did not try to de-escalate. Later, Minsk two was signed, and the de-escalation took place, and the border standoff was over. So basically, Risha reiterates in the anniversary of Minsk two that we believe that Minsk agreement will be followed. In the Minsk agreement, basically, Ukraine had said that we will not join NATO. But suddenly, out of blue, uh, Ukraine recently declared that we will sign. We want to join NATO and doing this that. So Russia says that this is not right. This is not right. You cannot join Ukraine. Okay. Now the problem what here is happening for India is basically uh, a dilemma kind of a situation. Like who should India favor? Because the thing is that here there is already a treaty which Russia has signed with Ukraine, that and Ukraine had given it a written assurity that it's not going to join NATO. Now Ukraine says that it wants to join NATO, and the NATO says it has an open policy. Whoever wants to join NATO can join NATO. Now Russia is amassing its troop near the border. Now the agreement said that it should not. One, since it has not done it, why is Russia amassing the troop at the border? Because it is also going against the agreement. So this is a whole being diplomatically very confusing issue. Let's see what India does. So basically, India says that these two countries must sit together and discuss the issue in the at the diplomatic level. Okay. Now, this is a very good article. Blinken Jaishankar held honest talk on Russia. See, basically, what the US top diplomat for South and Central Asia, Donald Lu, He said that the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his American counterpart Antony Blinken had an honest discussion on Russia and Ukraine. And on the basis of issue of Russia and Ukraine, I can say that that was between the Secretary Blinken and External Affairs Minister Jaishankar an open and honest discussion. And okay, he said that this is reflective of close relationship that we share. So basically, Donald do says that India and USA maintains a very close relationship, and India is with USA. This is what USA wants to say. Now we know that this issue is definitely going to come, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe in tomorrow's newspaper or day after tomorrow's newspaper. According to my prediction, India is going to fall into the trap of choosing between USA and Russia for sure, because this issue is becoming very hot. The problem here, the issue is very complex, because here it's given very very good thing, which is mentioned here, which is something that it's a food for thought. Now what is the food for thought here is, USA says that India is a part of Quad, and in Quad meeting, whenever India comes and it gives speech, in its speech, India keeps maintaining that it wants to follow rule based order. It is in favor of rule based order. It says that whatever is the rule, whatever is the agreement, every party must comply with it, and there should be a rule based order. It should not be that the rules are set and then the rules gets broken. So this is the basically the thing here, rule based order. Now India has always favored for the international rule based international order. It is committed to it. So it says that when why is Russia amassing the troops? That's number one. Number two is Crimea was taken by Ukraine. Now that was part of Ukraine. Russia took it. Now when the Russia took it, it already broke the rule. International boundaries were set there. How could a country enter into country in this post World War II era, get into a country in 2014, capture the territory, and start ruling over that? Are we into a democratic era? Are we into a era where we have United Nations, or are we into some kind of a bullying era of dons and underworld, where the people could go and simply capture some areas and rule over it? So that's the thing. Now this is what uh, uh, you know USA says, that since India keeps telling that it is committed to international rule based orders, then definitely it should favor USA. But then Russia says that okay, if you are following the rule based order, then there is also a Minsk agreement which Ukraine has signed with Russia. Then how could Ukraine say that we want to join NATO when the that particular rule, there is an agreement where it cannot leave? So India is basically stuck between the two. That India, although it says that it is rule based order, but both side it is rule based only. Now what should India do? Should it spoil the relation that it has historically it had with Russia to favor USA, or should it favor Russia and spoil its relation with USA? Russia is already a crippling economy. Sanctions are definitely going to be put on Russia. And if India goes against USA and joins the favors Russia, then India also comes under the fear of sanction. Also, the bullying by Chinese that's taking place may also increase over Indians, and the USA will not give support to India. So, a lot of challenges and problems are there in front of India. I hope you are getting like what is the main issue here and what is the problem that's coming up. Fine. Let's move to the next news article, which is important here is conviction rate in human trafficking cases declining. So there's a small village from where the number of cases of human trafficking has been decreasing. Okay, and okay, yeah. So I forgot to tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. In the previous news article, uh, where we learned about this article here, we there was the name of this Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what happens is Whenever name of any organization comes in news, at that time you must know about the organization, because it will come in the in CDS, in AFCAT, in CAPF, all these examination, this question may come. Remember that this is the largest security organization in the world, and it is an observer. It has got an observer status in the United Nations. So it is not the member of United Nations or not the part of United Nations, but it has got an observer status in United Nations. So it sits there in United Nations in the General Assembly and looks at the issues that the world is facing, and it is the largest security bloc, and it is basically present in Europe. So okay, so that's the thing you must know about this organization. Fine. Let's move to page number 14. So here it says that basically in this news article, the conviction rate is declining, and the conviction rate is declining uh, in case of human trafficking. The reason for that is given uh, that that these crimes are usually organized and interstate one. So since this is an interstate, now this becomes very important for your CAPF examination from interview purpose as well as your paper writing purpose. Okay, so this is an internal security issue in India, human trafficking. Now what happens is this is a cross border crime from one state to another, and we know that therefore tracking the criminals, getting properly conviction against them becomes very difficult. Okay, next is there is always a compensation delay, where although whenever the people, the women's, the ladies, the girls are rescued uh, from these human traffickers, then the compensation that is given, there's always a delay, and also the compensation amount is so less that they do not have proper money, and they do not have proper facilities to fight for their own justice, and the compensation is essential for them to fight, and therefore the compensation must not be delayed. So these are the things that are given here. So the conviction rate is going low because even after doing going for conviction, the court cases takes time, the compensation takes time. So uh, the sufferer becomes demotivated to take it up, and that is why conviction is becoming low. The human trafficking cases are not going down, they are not going down, but the rate of conviction is going low. So this is what is given here in the article. Fine, let's move to the next news article, that is India UAE to sign trade pact today. So there is going to be a free trade agreement, first free trade agreement that India and UAE will sign between the two countries. And basically, through this agreement, the gems export is going to be targeted. Now, the free trade agreement, which found enthusiastic support from the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, which has announced that the deal will push the jewelry's export to the Gulf country to a level of $10 billion. Now, the Gems and Jewelry Export Council said in a statement that the sector has already crossed 2.4 lakh crore, marking a post-pandemic recovery. Fine. So this is what is here in the news. So the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council wants that currently the level of 10 billion. Basically it wants to push the limit, and there's a lot of scope that these jewelries can be exported out to these Arabian countries, and we can make good lot of money out of it. So there is a 5% of import duty in UAE, which is on these gems and jewelry. It is asking the government that please ask them to abolish this 5% import duty. And once it gets abolished, then India's jewelry's export will increase, and prosperity for India will come. So this is what is given here in the article. Fine. The next news article, which is important here, is draft laws on refugees' right need revision. So the thing is that the National Human Right Commission has said that uh, there is a draft which is already made that has to be brought into rule. The thing is that India has never signed this. The not signed the United Nations Refugees Convention 1951. According to this convention, if there is any refugee from any country, if it wants to seek asylum in your country, you have to allow it. India said that we are not doing that, because if India will allow the asylum, the lot of people, we saw how the Bangladeshis have come into India and they have illegally settled in India. The rights of people in Assam is basically uh, are under peril, and there is demographic uh, uh, changes that's taking place in the regions of Tripura, where the demography is changing. Now all these situations already was present in India. India did not sign this, and it said that no, we are not going to sign this refugee convention. uh, but the thing is that what Justice Kumar said was that although India has not signed this, but there is according to the Constitution of India, now these asylum seekers are entitled to the right under Article 14, 20, and 21 of the Constitution. They have right to life and liberty. Anybody who enters into India, which is not applicable to the citizens of this country, so they are uh, each and everyone has right to live their life. Equality in is there. Now when they have these, there must be these asylum seekers there must be some rules that India must come up with in order to have a stronger human right, to safeguard their human right, because they are human ultimately, right? So they're ensuring the protection of human right is taking place. So for that, the already there are drafts which is there. There's a draft of the domestic asylum which is there, and these draft has to be updated and converted into laws. So this is what is the situation. So we'll see that what happens here. Next news, which is not so big but an important one, is India's first ever water taxi service. And it may ask you like from where to where the India's first water taxi service is inaugurated. Remember that it has been inaugurated in Maharashtra, and it will connect Navi Mumbai with the old Mumbai or the mainland Mumbai. Okay, so earlier this Navi Mumbai is actually very far from the main Mumbai and getting connected through local train, but then the train services huge crowd, and the train services not were not fast because it is in U shape. If you'll see, the shape of Mumbai is U shaped, and therefore if there could be the boat taxis that could operate between main Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, then it will kind of uh, decongest the railway traffic, and it will bring some traffic here to waterways. So through this, the first inauguration has taken place here. Fine. Now let's move to the next article, which is on this page number 15 in the foreign news. Not very, very important news here. Uh, but there's one news which is again in transition. So Khamenei, he rejects the claims that Iran wants atomic bomb. So he says that, see, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he said that we do not want atomic bomb. We are not making it. First of all, Americans simply accuse us that we want to develop nuclear bomb. We do not want to develop nuclear bomb. We want that if you have so much of doubt on us, please continue please continue the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which is a nuclear treaty in 2015, which basically said that every year the international organization will come and it will inspect all the nuclear facilities in Iran and see if these nuclears are being uh, are converted into higher grade, to convert into weapon grade uranium, if if it is being done or it is just being used for the power plant purposes. Okay, so this is what he said, that continue with that. Why are you simply putting sanction on us? You are crippling our economy. You are putting lives of our people. There are people, there are children who are living in the country. Now they are all facing issue because of it. Please don't do it. So this is what he wants to come up with. Fine, ladies and gentlemen. So these were the most important news articles from today's newspaper. If you have any doubts, queries, question, you can always ask it in the comment box below. If you have any more inquiry that you want to make, please visit our website www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in. We'll meet tomorrow again with the next newspaper. Till then time, take good care of yourself. Have a nice day, all of you. Bye.